Ethan is only going to be here so long, and I don't know how long that is.
Hey, friend, if you're struggling to take that next big leap to really chase your dreams, you're going to want to hear what my friend Ethan has to say. Ethan is someone who's really lived life to the fullest, especially almost dying at the age of 16. Since then, he's biked across the country, lived out of his Honda Element, he's hosted his own retreats, and he's traveled all across the world. So he's definitely someone who's really comfortable with getting outside of his comfort zone and really living life to the fullest. So if that interests you and you want to learn how you can do that too, then stay tuned and listen in. But yeah, do you want to start off with just saying a little bit about like yourself, who you are, and kind of like what you get up to these days?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My name is Ethan. Ethan Maurice. I kind of like to tell people I'm a creative. I do a lot of different creative things. I really like to write, um, like to take photographs. I have a blog, do a lot of things on the internet, a real estate photography company with a friend. Um, I just kind of like, yeah, create in a variety of different ways and
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of like a sort of like, I aspire to be a sort of like wandering philosopher or something like that as well.
Yeah,
Just kind of like bouncing about the world and taking it all in and then putting things out from the experience of taking it in creative and interesting ways, I guess.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything I know about you points to that as like as you're describing it, I'm like, yeah, that describes you. Totally.
Uh,
Just like being creative. And one of the things that I was thinking about is like the way that you live your life is really, I would say, not conventional. Like I feel that a lot of people kind of do a standard path where it's go to school, then you go to college, and you get a job, then you work that job until you're 65, and then somewhere along the lines you get married and have kids or something. And so the path that you've chosen is not that like stereotypical, like laid out for us path in regular life. And I think at one point you had been thinking about like going to med school, right? I remember you had like talked to some people about potentially doing that and then you had changed your mind. So I'm kind of curious about like what happened there that kind of led you to really pursue this creative lifestyle as opposed to the more standard one.
yeah. Uh, yeah, I was very much on that medical school path. I have a bachelor's degree in biomedical science and a minor in chemistry. But I mean, it was a chain of events that caused that to change. It started with a kind of near death experience at 16 years old, and uh, that causing me to question a lot of things and get really curious, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 21, before my senior year of college, and then like, and kind of in preparation for medical school, I kind of paused that to go on this cross country bike ride. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where we met
Yeah.
in Kentucky, in a gymnasium. But on that bike ride, I was looking for another way. I was trying to find another way to do it other than that conventional pattern. And I ran into a person uh, in the woods outside of Yellowstone National Park that really was a model of how that could be done for me. And when I met that person, I kind of knew that I wasn't going to pursue that path anymore because I just saw that life could be done in a different way.
Yeah.
Um, and he lived a very unconventional life, and that I just needed to see that it was possible. I think, and like
Mm.
tangibly, I met someone that was like that, and um, that kind of set me off on this very different path where I kind of find things instead of seek them, knowing what I'm seeking beforehand. I'm sort of like, like find and play it as you go kind of life. Sense
Yeah,
that, yeah.
totally. And I imagine that takes a lot of courage or like mental resilience or some sort of like strength of mind or will to be able to
Yeah,
do that?
yeah, absolutely. I think there are, I mean, there are many points in my life where it felt like I couldn't, you can't, if you can't see the path forward, it's scary to sort of like, things could go awry. Like when you have if you have a pre-planned path, you can, you can just kind of step by step get where you're going. But
Right.
yeah, when there's unknown, and there's been a lot of unknown in my life, and I've gotten kind of comfortable at being uncomfortable in those unknown situations. Like I can handle the discomfort of the unknown way better now than I could 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like that's such a like a superpower, like a fucking awesome superpower to be able to sit in the unknown. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back. So people who might be stuck in their 9 to 5s that they hate or stuck in a relationship that they don't like find fulfillment in, and they don't leave because it's scary. Well, if I leave this, what's going to be out there? I don't know what my life is going to be like. Who knows what's going to happen? And so I think that you finding this comfort in the unknown is like really amazing. And I wish like I had more of that. And I'm also wondering, so like at the beginning, before you had all this experience, that's probably when it's the hardest to step into that, I would imagine. And
Mhm.
so if you were to say like give someone advice, like if someone was maybe in their shitty 9 to 5 that they want to quit, but they feel too scared, like how did you find the ability to say like, you know what, the unknown's scary, but I'm gonna go with it anyway?
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, it's the leap, right? That's the hardest part probably.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's also the first step. Yeah, yeah. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step,
Uh-huh.
that kind of thing. But yeah, I think for me it was a real like from that sort of near death experience at 16 years old. I had a very visceral like front of my awareness sense that this is a temporary situation. Like
Mm,
Ethan is only going to be here so long, and I don't know how long that is, and that's the case for yeah, that's the case for everybody. And the like I just really, I feel like life is not. I felt like life was an opportunity, and if I didn't kind of go directly at that opportunity, I really felt like I was squandering it or something, and I think that it was kind of a gift to have that near death experience. And I wonder about, it's like how does someone who hasn't had that experience, get in touch with their like mortality, and like if
mm,
that's the fuel source you want to use to make your leap, like how
mm-hmm.
do you get in touch with that? Like I mean, I think like I mean, there's a lot of practice. There's a lot of like kind of memento mori practices on remember death. I literally carry a coin around my pocket a
Yeah.
lot of the time. I don't have it right now. I didn't want to travel with it. I'm traveling light right now, but I usually carry a coin around. It says memento mori and has like a laughing skull on it, and it's a nice thing to touch a couple times a day to remember that this is a temporary experience, and this like fleeting opportunity. This moment is always going to change into something else, and so right now is this unique situation. You're kind of gifted, and you want to kind of make the most of that. And so I think the like carrying that around and like journaling about these kind of like kind of like memento mori journaling. I've thought of like making uh, a sort of journal that I could offer people with a bunch of quotes and ideas around this, honestly, because it
Mm,
is a spur in my life
right.
to help like yeah, kind of like I think I think it helps us live our values, kind of being in touch with. with our mortality in that way. And yeah, yeah. So I think that's why I left, and I think that contemplating those things can give people some uh, yeah, a little more oomph for their own leaps, wherever they may be.
Totally. I love that. It's funny, as I'm just like hearing you talk, I'm like, oh man, I really miss like talking with you.
Oh my God. Yeah,
um, but
uh,
yeah, this idea that like death is it's like such a powerful idea. We're all gonna die someday soon. So live your life in a way that you're gonna like be able to look back and not have regret about how you did it. And I watched this video the other day that I really loved, and the guy was like, okay, pretend like I'm gonna lend you a video game. It's, let's say, GTA 5 or something, and you only have it for 1 week, and you get to do whatever you want in the video game for that week, and then afterwards you have to give it back. And he goes, okay, so what are you gonna do? You're probably gonna go out and do the quests, or you're gonna see like what sort of adventures you can go on, see what you can discover in the world out there, and really make use of that week that you have to play with the game. And what you're probably not gonna do is open up the game and just sit in a little building for the whole week and not do anything, right? Like, who would play a video game that way?
yeah,
And then he was like, okay, so your life is the same way. You don't have a week, but there is a time period where you have to give the game back and it's going to be over. It's like a finite experience that we have. And so, are you going to go out there and play the game and enjoy the world, or are you going to sit in a little cubicle for like your entire life? I thought it was a really good way to think about it.
man, that's a beautiful analogy. Yeah, yeah. And that's the exact situation. I mean, that's like a distilled situation of what we're in right now. Absolutely. Like, and yeah, yeah, we got to go out and have some fun in our own GTA 5.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting because, like, I love how at the forefront you're carrying this idea of death. Like, you even have that coin with you where you can just touch it and feel it and remember, oh, yeah, life is temporary. I should make the most out of this life. Whereas I feel that a lot of people, death might be even more of a taboo topic. Like, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to bring it up. And so, this shift from bringing this idea that's maybe not talked about very much to like, this is living in my mind like all the time and how I'm going to live my life feels like a really powerful change to me, which is unfortunate that maybe not a lot of people are thinking about that so often.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think well, yeah, yeah. I've thought a lot about yeah, I've thought a lot about that and read. There's a really good book. Uh, well, I think you may have read it actually. The Denial of Death.
I tried.
Ernest Becker's book.
I couldn't get through it, but I do know of it, yes.
So, heavy and interesting beginning to it. Uh, but
A lot of poop stuff.
yeah, very creaturely, very creaturely.
Anyway.
But yeah, yeah, it's like it is something that gets kind of swept under the rug of our culture and our lives. There's not a lot of things out there reminding us of it because it is, scary for a lot of people, and people have different ideas about, what happens, and it can be very taboo. But yeah, like I think that book calls it uh, the primary repression of the human psyche is the fact that you're going to
Mm,
die, and like that's something interesting. If that is the primary, like I don't know for sure that death is the primary repression of the human psyche, but if it is, that's a very curious rock to turn over.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot there if that's the case. So
Uh-huh.
I think that's a reason for me that's a reason to turn that rock over because yeah, I'm curious and uh, and yeah, and yeah, I draw a lot from that. Yeah, I think it's one of the most powerful rocks to turn over. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, and so when you were going through that near-death experience at 16, I'm kind of curious how that was. Was that like terrifying, super scary, or was it kind
Yeah.
of like, it seemed like
Well,
afterwards it was more liberating, but in the moment maybe you couldn't quite see that
it,
yet?
it was a unique experience for me because I was like I have no I've basically no conscious memory of being near death. Like I just I was in a coma. I like my parents found me in like a grand mal seizure, which I have no I have no recollection of,
Wow.
and I was in a coma for 4 days, and then came out of the coma. So like by the time I was like like my first conscious memories, I was already kind of out of the woods. I
Mm,
wasn't like near that edge anymore. It was largely afterwards, and I had a slight like brain damage basically to the motor, like my fine motor skills, like little like like writing little small things with your hands
yeah.
and speaking. I would just get caught um, like mid sentence. I could just my mind could just go whoop, and I wouldn't be able to recall what we were talking about or anything. I would just like drop my speech,
Mm,
and so I would drop my speech like that a lot, like at the beginning of that, and it was just kind of like every time that happened, I was reminded that I almost died. Basically, it was like this, like
mm,
it was like people like to remember, like form a habit, and then people like I don't know, tie a string on their finger or something. It was like or like carrying my coin around, just my memento mori coin. In a way, like I was sort of forced. That memento mori coin was like forced upon me by my brain's lack of ability to hold a train of thought. Like I was just like get lost in conversation, and then it's like, oh yeah, like I'm like that happened. I almost died. I still have these after effects from that, and so it just reminded me again and again and again,
mm.
involuntarily, and it just started like over time, just started it's like soaking in, kind of, I guess.
Yeah. That is such a cool reframe because I can imagine someone going through that situation and let's say they're struggling with their fine motor skills or they're struggling with their speech. And I could imagine someone being really frustrated and being like, oh, like this sucks. I went through this experience and now my motor skills are all screwed up and like I can't talk right and I keep losing my train of thought. Like I'm really annoyed by this. But you're looking at this like, oh, each time this happens, that's a reminder that I almost died. And it's so cool that I get to be alive still and to be able to explore and live life fully.
Yeah, it was very much both those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was very frustrating at the time too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yeah, I can remember like, oh my God, a couple of times like talking to some girl I really like in high school or
Oh
something, and just
no.
oh, like it's just like it's just being so awkward. Just, like like so there were definitely like it was mostly a bad thing for a couple years, but it was like but yeah, that was also there. That was also there too, and it kind of took me from being a little like in high school, I was quite not wallflowery, but kind of introverted, and
Uh-huh.
it was like you it reminded me to like take these leaps and kind of get off the uh get out of my shell and stuff because it was like man I almost died 4 months ago. Like I don't know that I'm gonna have another chance to do this. So like that was happening at the same time that I was like suffering and starting to get these kind of like philosophical gifts
Mm,
simultaneous.
totally.
Frustration and that. Yeah, both. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you're going through that, going through this transition, it seems like this almost death experience was what really sparked a lot of this. Like as I'm looking at you now, like fucking awesome human that is able to get comfortable in uncomfortable or unknown situations. And I'm wondering, like, as you're going through that like growth transition, were there specific practices that you started to get into that really helped? Because when I think like logically, the idea I'm gonna die someday, so I should go live my life makes sense. But then it's so
Mhm.
easy to just like turn around and go back to my regular life again, knowing that without having
Yeah.
something to do to like keep me going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. Yeah. the yeah, like yeah, practice wise, like at the beginning, what I'm trying to think, like I mean, I think like carrying that coin around, some kind of like daily, reminder of things, I think is really good like that. I
Mm,
got, I think I took up I mean, I took up writing, and I like maybe like I kept a journal and would like in these I think maybe these moments, like if you like contemplate death, sometimes you get like a really it'll put you in like a certain headspace. Sometimes it's kind of like rarefied air. It's like being at the summit of a mountain or something like that.
mm,
And like you kind of you feel like you see things a little closer to the way they are or something. You have like a wider perspective maybe than you usually do.
yeah.
And I mean, in those moments, I often turn to writing and trying to like capture those in some way. And maybe through doing that and like penning those like profound moments, I was like able to return to them and like by writing them out, like write them kind of into my head deeper and stuff like that. But I didn't have a lot of practices on this, honestly, at the beginning. Like I didn't like I have a lot more practices now than I did then. But it was more of a God, it was raw. It was just like raw. Like I got like it it I was profoundly inspired when like in my early 20s. I was just I had to
Yeah.
I had to go. I
Yeah.
had to go. Yeah, I had to go do the thing. I just it was like I would have been very. It was too dissatisfying not to. There was like it was something was shifting in me in a big way. Yeah, yeah. I don't. Yeah, yeah. I think the practices and stuff come later, but at the beginning it was just some sort of like you're struck by lightning and things are just different now.
Mm, hmm. Yeah, well, it's interesting that you were saying that because as I was sitting listening to you, I was thinking that the stuff that you named while you were saying might not have been as much of a practice, those felt like
Yeah,
very great practices to me with either like the journaling or the just holding the coin around. Because I feel like as you're doing that, that is what starts to help you maybe like feel or embody it like even more as opposed to just like this logical thing that says, hey, I'm gonna die someday, like I should go live my life fully. Well, if I take the time to journal about that and really sit with, okay, like I could die tomorrow, what is like really valuable and like meaningful in my life, and I'm gonna like take some time to really sit with that, then I'm starting to like process and really integrate that into my like whole being as opposed to just like some concept. So to me
absolutely.
that felt like a pretty good practice actually.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like I still like I did go back and I've reread those things a lot. Like I have
Mm,
journals from over the years, and I go back to and read those things like uh I don't know, 3 or 4 times a year. I'll like take like a day where I just take them out, just like leaf through them and just kind of get those moments like it's a variety of moments, but those peak moments where I'm kind of uh feeling that a light with that realization or whatever, or like I wrote about that and whatever came out of um that like death contemplation, like it's like, oh, I want to like all these things about how I want to live because I know my time is finite. Having like re-encountering those things again later, it embeds it deeper in your mind. uh
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
almost
fresh.
like oh, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, go for it. That was the end of my thought.
I was gonna say it's almost like building a habit or like a healthy thing that you're trying to do. Like if you want to strengthen your muscles, you don't just like work out once. You're gonna go to the gym or do your exercises regularly on like an ongoing basis. Same thing with like diet, or if you're trying to learn a new skill, you don't just like think about that thing once and it's over. Like the more you do it, the more you're gonna get like better at it. And this feels similar to me, which is embodying this idea that we're gonna die. Like the more you revisit it, and when you go back and like look at those old journal entries, or if you're continuing to do like new journal entries, feels like it's getting reps in like
Yes.
a stronger mindset or something like that. I don't know what to call it, but like this like pro death mentality that's really empowering.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you're putting more and more awareness into it over time. Like,
Yeah.
you're like in it's getting more tangled up in your awareness the more you encounter something, basically. And uh yeah, so like the cumulative effect of that over time, over years or something, I think is probably quite profound. So yeah, yeah, absolutely, it is a practice that way. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm not sure how long ago that near death experience was for you now, like 15-ish years,
yeah.
something like
I
that.
would see it is man, yeah, like half my life ago. It was 17 years ago.
17 years ago. Wow.
17 years ago. That's wild. See, I've made it twice as far.
Yeah, still alive.
Yeah.
But not for long.
You never know.
That was not a threat, by the way.
Uh,
But yeah, you were just saying like over a long period of time, like those effects can really compound, right? And I feel like your
yeah.
current life is kind of evidence of that now. 17 years, or even in our conversation just now, you're able to bring up that like death is kind of at the forefront of your mind and how you live your life. And that really allows you to live this unconventional life. It gives you that courage to like go out there and do the like cool, unexplored things. And I'm wondering, like, maybe this can serve as inspiration for people who are like still a little bit uncomfortable or like needing to take that first step and feeling a little bit of fear or something. What would you say are some of like the most cool or awesome stories or like best experiences that you've had as a result of like saying, "Hey, I'm going to go and do this like unconventional life and just see what happens."
Oh, yeah. Uh, oh man, there's so many.
That's great.
Like yeah, yeah. Like the freshest thing on my mind is about uh 24 hours ago. I was riding a like a moped, kind of like a scooter, from like in the dark on a me and a girl were just tag team this highway. You were like at night in Mexico. We're in Mexico right now, and we're like an hour and a half south. Watch the sunset, and then like um, yeah, ate dinner in this town, and then at night just drove this highway on these little scooters, like at half the speed of all the other cars. And we got these like 40-foot, like maybe the headlights shine 40 feet ahead of you, so you don't know if there's like potholes ahead or anything. So
Oh,
like taking turns, like one person's in front and like really focused, like trying to avoid the potholes, and the other person's like can see their lights, so it's easy, and then switch routine. So that was like that was 2 nights ago. But then that was a really good one. But yeah, I pedaled a bicycle across the United States. I've worked on a farm in Hawaii for 3 months. I've backpacked the Annapurna circuit in Nepal, a working holiday visa, and bounced around New Zealand for 4.5 months. I've lived out of a Honda Element that I turned into like a home on wheels for like a collective 6 months. Ran a lodge next to Yellowstone National Park for 3 summers as like a mm, innkeeper and bartender. It's like yeah, I've had so many I've had so many adventures subsequently that all came from that initial embrace there, and that's really like it's the kind of it's like a rich life in a different it's a form of wealth or richness or something that's like experiential rather than like financial or
Mm,
material or something. And it's yeah, it feels like living. Yeah, I think that's like the like if there's like a duality, a coin of like life and death. I think death spurs life in
mm.
one, and I think all those things came from yeah it came from that initial near death realization.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm having trouble finding the words as you were talking about all of those different experiences between, say, like biking across the country or like living in Hawaii or living out of your Honda Element. I was trying to think about like what was the thing that you were like getting out of those experiences, and I'm having trouble like wording what I was hearing because I think it's something like just being in the element of like living life. Because some other words that like come to mind for me would be like, oh, like did you find happiness or did you find growth or did you find like something else? Which those things are probably true, but almost seem like smaller than this, like just doing life viscerally kind of feeling. That's what was coming up for me. I'm kind of curious how that lands for you, if that feels accurate or if that's not quite like,
No,
uh,
I think that is accurate. I think that there's a kind of like I feel like if I'm doing life right in a way, I feel like I should be kind of ringing with it, like alive, vibrant, in some way. And of course, I mean, there's all different cycles and seasons and moments of life. It's a full, the full spectrum or whatever. But I think that the other, so that might be the primary thing. But I think the other thing that underpinned all this is very exploratory, and uh, and part of what that near death realization pushed me towards was desire to kind of understand, try and understand like what's happening here, like what like like the bigger questions. Why are we here?
mm,
What is uh like like I couldn't a part of like going out and traveling exploring these things was just like I can't go to medical school because I don't know why I should go to medical I needed to examine the like the foundation of the thing of life in some way and like answer these basic questions like answer is a tough it's tough to answer those questions but like to explore those questions because I didn't have any good answers to them and it was driving me nuts too so that's the other all these things are very out there and you're and very open and the possibility of bumping into a good into insights and better answers to those questions felt like the highest possibility I had to do that was in exploring and being out in the world as
mm.
well. So that would be the other part of it, I think.
Yeah. And now that you have done a bunch of exploring, do you feel like you have better answers to those questions now?
Yes. Uh,
Uh,
I don't have I mean, I think they're all inherent mysteries. Like they're sort of like I don't know. You can't have like why are we here? Like I can't I can't I can't tell you.
What's the meaning of life? Come on. Tell me, Ethan. Yeah.
But I have maybe I know how to ask better questions around those things and I've explored and listen I've explored a lot of potential answers for those things with my own life and other people's thoughts around those things as well.
Yeah,
I'm much more satisfied in those departments than I was 10 years ago or something.
for sure. And I wonder if it's a thing where, like, logically answering this question is almost a, like, pitfall way of going about it. If I'm trying to answer, like, why are we here? What's the meaning of life? And as I'm thinking about the experiences that, like, you've had, or even the experiences that, like, we've had together in our different, like, trips and stuff, I wonder if the answer, and earlier I was saying like, do you have a better answer? Not like the answer, because we'll probably never have the answer. But
Mm.
the way we get at better answers is almost through a way of these experiences and then some sort of like intuitive or like below the immediate consciousness kind of feeling, kind of knowing like, oh, that was something that felt more viscerally alive for me. So that direction is closer to what I want to be going as opposed to this other direction, which might be like going to med school or something. And so we kind of like get an idea for maybe the next turn that we should make, but that doesn't
Mm.
mean we know like the end point. Like that's what the meaning of life is or something like that.
100%, 100%. I love that,
Uh-huh.
and I think I quite strongly like agree with that. I like to when I was in college doing my biology degree. There was once this lab experiment where we had very sciencey thing. We had a petri dish with some like little like single cell bacteria with like little flagella, and they're kind of floating around in it. And uh, we dropped like acid into the like solution they were in,
Hmm.
and just a very science experiment. Let's drop some acid on them. Like, oh, yeah. And they're like, and they go, they run away from the acid, right? And then there's like and then you put like another petri dish, you put food in it, and they go towards the food.
Mm.
And like on a very simple level, I think that life is like is just trying to move towards kind of like what's good, and you can and it can sense very simply like,
Mm.
this feels like a vat of acid, or this is nourishing, and,
Yeah.
and and those are very different experiences. And like you can look at like a it's like that's on a very basic level with a like in a petri dish with a single cell
Yeah.
bacteria. But you can look at like a tree or something, which is a much more complex organism. But like a tree is always kind of like growing towards the light. Like if you have
Hmm.
like a big tree here and like a little tree here, this little tree is not going to grow into the darkness under the tree. It's going for the light. It's going
Right.
for what's, and I see the bacteria in the petri dish going for what's good and moving from what's bad. I see trees growing towards the light and not, where that, not into the darkness where the light isn't, that's going to nourish them. And I think that everything, I think life is doing that in general. I think we're doing that too. I think that's how I navigate it, but it's just more complex. Being a human is quite complex, but
Yeah.
that's
Totally.
I think it's the same thing going on like all levels, but it's just like very simple on like a 2D plane for the single cell bacteria, and for a human, there's like all these levels of like psychology and like
Yeah.
I don't you get all tangled up and stuff, but it's that basic thing of just like this feels good, this doesn't, and moving in one direction or another.
Yeah, I really love that. And it makes me think of like, oh, should we be listening to our like instincts, intuition, our like bodies a little bit more? Because with the tree or with the single cell organism, like they don't have complex nervous systems trying to evaluate what to do, right? It's just like, this is the better thing to do. So like, of course I'm gonna go that way. Or like acid, like I'm gonna get like out because that's gonna kill me. Um, Whereas, like, I think with our complex logical brains, as awesome as they are, they can kind of maybe trick us into being into situations that we shouldn't be. Like, oh, I'm gonna continue to work at this job or like go to med school and do whatever because like that'll make a lot of money and I know that I need money to like sustain myself and maybe I believe that money will make me happy, but am I ignoring something that's like underneath? Am I ignoring something that like my intuition or subconscious is saying in terms of like what's actually good for me? Because maybe that thing is like the acid, but my my brain is like overriding the desire to get away from it.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And it's like, yeah, like good, like different parts of yourself or something. Like you could have like, I had this like dilemma in college where my my logical brain said medical school was the good way to go because yeah, I can have a good job and I can have
Mhm.
a it'll be very safe and success and people look highly upon a person who does this and I can help people too. Like I
Yeah.
really want like part of me really did want to help. Like I really did want to help people and those are all great things. But there was some deeper part of me than the logical side that was like kicking and screaming, going, no, no, no. Like, don't go that way. No, like
Yeah.
acid, 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 and wanted to go in some other direction. And it's way harder because we have like all sorts. That's just like two levels. There's all sorts of I think we have there's social things. There's the logic. There's a more intuitive gut thing. You could probably name a dozen or I don't know 50 factors like that or something that are all competing with each other for
Right.
relevance. Yeah, so it's harder than being it's more complex than being a tree or a single-celled organism, but I think the same it's still the same kind of game or same kind of figuring, but it's just yeah, a lot harder to decipher.
Yeah, and while it makes it harder, to me, it's also part of that, like, just being able to experience life more viscerally kind of thing. Because if we're going to continue to, like, use this example and these extreme comparisons, so if I think about being the single-celled organism, part of my brain is like, oh, I wish my life was like that. It would be so simple if I didn't have to, like, worry about those things. And then I'm like, wait, do I wish I was like a fucking amoeba? Like, no, I don't. I would way much rather be a human and like
Yeah,
experience all the things a human can as opposed to
yeah.
like being an amoeba or a single celled like bacteria.
Yeah.
So I think the complexity, while it's hard to like navigate and deal with, is part of what also allows like so much depth to living this like life thing.
100%. Yeah, yeah, I love that. That's such a good point. Yeah, it would be easier to be a bacteria, but yeah, like it's like, wait a second, step back from it. Are you saying you want to be a bacteria?
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Like,
no, yeah,
that seems kind of
yeah,
shitty.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Especially if you're in a science experiment where people are dropping acid on your petri dish.
Yeah, right? Oh my God.
Yeah, a world of suffering. Oh man. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I think it's ultimately a gift to have the ability to grapple with the complexity and while it's very hard and confusing at times, it's like it's more interesting, you know.
Yeah.
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 I like interesting things too. So yeah, I'll take the complexity and confusion.
Totally. And yeah, life is short, so might as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For all the ingredients in
Cool. Well, thank you so much for like being here and talking through all of that. I feel like that was a super great conversation about like death and life and everything in between. Um, do you want to share a little bit about like how people can find you? I know that you have like a newsletter and that I think you even sell like those Memento Mori coins if people want to get their
there.
hands on one.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, so do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. 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 I have a blog, and that's where basically all my creative work and uh, Memento Mori coins, my late night letters, which are a monthly practice where, like, the last night of each month, I start writing late in the night and don't go to sleep until I send a letter to everybody, and it kind of results in this weird late night cool uh, stew for your brain that sometimes interesting things come out of. All that can be found on my website. It's just ethanmaurice.com. Uh, I just decided to make it my name because your name follows you around wherever you go. I like exploring, and it's hard to put myself in one category.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, all there, and I'm on Instagram too. If people wanted to find that, it's just Ethan.Maurice. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'd love for people to get a memento mori coin too if they want one. They're totally there, and I will totally send you one.
Totally.
That
Actually, I'm like, maybe I
genuinely
should
send
go and order one right now. You know, it's funny. I actually tried like my own version of the Memento Mori coin, which
you.
is I got like a tattoo that for me is like a reminder that I'm gonna die,
Yeah,
and I just like forget it's there. I'm just
yeah,
so used to the tattoos on my body that like adaptation, I guess. Like I just
yeah,
don't like see it anymore, even though like I do
yeah.
see it, but I don't like consciously notice it. So I'm wondering if having a physical thing that I'm actually touching might be a better reminder than this tattoo that I really love, but I just like don't remember.
Yeah, yeah. I like I think I do like I like holding I like picking it up when I like grabbing out of my there's a nice feeling when you grab it like I keep it in my dresser and like top drawer of my dresser and like I'm like going to wherever I'm gonna go like starting out my day open the dresser up and like stick my hand there and grab it and there's this moment of uh like kind of like it makes you think like oh I I'm not like you're picking up something very heavy
Mm,
like and putting it in your pocket and there's kind of like if I just let that go by I feel like a little bit of like not guilt or something but like it's it kind of prods it kind of pokes you in it pokes you in a way
yeah.
I almost don't know how to say it but it hits me more in that moment of scooping it and putting it in my pocket like you're holding it in your hand and it's the
Yeah.
little laughing skull or something there's something about it that gets me in a really in a good way yeah.
Yeah. Like you're missing something important if you don't.
Yeah, if you don't, yeah,
Yeah.
if I put it in my pocket without really catching it, I'm like, I know I'm kind of screwing up or something. Like,
Mm,
yeah, it's like I can't put it in my pocket without feeling that a little bit, or it's like kind of like it feels wrong or something to me. I'm doing something wrong. So
yeah.
it's nice having it tangibly. I like it. I like it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to be more intentional with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you're listening, go get your Memento Mori coin to inspire you to live life fully. And I read all of your late night newsletters, and I really enjoy them. I think I get a lot of insight and value, just like about how to live life. So, yeah, highly recommend that as well.
Yeah. The heart and soul goes into them. The last
Yeah.
one I went to, it was 4:52 when I sent it. A
Oh, it's
couple days.
so late. Oh my God.
It's like a yeah, it's like a
Put it
I
into
pour myself.
work.
So
Yeah.
yeah. I appreciate
Cool.
it.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Ethan. Been great chatting with you, and thank you so much for being on.
No, my pleasure, Peter. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.